Did he make a way for you? You just had one down. And nobody but Jesus. And nobody but Jesus. And nobody but Jesus. And nobody but Jesus. Talking about Dr. Jesus. Talking about Mary, baby. Talking about the ruler Sharon. The wheel in the middle of the wheel. And nobody but Jesus. And nobody but Jesus. And nobody but Jesus. And nobody but Jesus. 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 Oh, Jesus. Lord, I'm calling. I want to thank you, Jesus, for being my everything. Somebody else feel just like I feel. Let God make a way for you. Let God make a way for you. You step right in. Step right in on time.
On the children, this year the Queen Quet coming to Hunter from Harris Neck, Georgia. You're in the Gullah Geechee Nation. We're so glad for day you're in Harris Neck for this year Harris Neck Festival. It coming for wind up the evening and thing like that. And the gospel messengers been a shouting. We get you and they gonna do the last shout of the evening for we as we go on yonder. And with this year day, I so glad for staying here because you know we've been to do the international remembrance of the victims of the transatlantic slave trade. But now we here with people who family were the victims of the transatlantic slave trade, and even after the transatlantic slave trade, they get you and had more thing teeth from them, right you, call this your land that we to stand upon. So I want all three of these gentlemen to introduce themselves to the Gullah Geechee TV Nation News audience and tell them what your position is with the Harris Neck Land Trust and who you descend from right here in Harris Neck, and what is movement all about. What happened? Who land got ticked? When that happened? A lot of people never yet hear the story. I know the story, but that ain't mean so all the other rest will turn out. You want to know about it. So please, Mr. Chairman, tell me a little bit.
Okay, I'm William Collins. I'm a registered pharmacist, and I'm chairman of the Harris Neck Land Trust. I'm a part of the Grant family. My father was Otis Grant, and my mother is Camille Grant. She lives in Jacksonville, Florida now. And of course the land is a long history because we acquired the land during, after slavery, when Abraham Lincoln gave the, signed the Emancipation Proclamation, and we got our 40 acres and a mule. But then that was rescinded, and so, but however, we were willed the land by one of the, as they say, the master, the master's daughter, willed it to us, the Delagal family, which we are all a part of. And then in 1942, during World War II, that's when the government came and took the land for an airfield, of which they really didn't use because the property was not substantial enough for the big planes to land. But rather than giving it back to the people of the community, who, as they promised, they gave it to the county to build an airport, and they did everything but. And so we are now still fighting to get the land back.
And the government at that time used eminent domain to obtain the land. To obtain the land. And during that time, you know, our people were not as educated as we are now, and to them, they were helping the government, and that was a big thing for them. You know, the government said it needs the land. You know, this is a big thing. We can do something to help the government in the hopes that the land would be returned back to them. But since 1942, it has not been returned. And we are in 2012 now.
That's right.
So my brother.
Yes, I am. I'm a Dunham. My father's name was Frank Dunham, and my mother was Estella Gracie. What happened is that my mother was an educator. She taught schools in McInnes County, and she was a musician, and she taught music for almost everybody. She was an outstanding, if I can remember, an outstanding leader of this whole community was Estella Dunham. I remembered, not a whole lot, but I remember some. And you know, not too long ago, I looked at somebody did a sketch of, I think it was Reverend Falkdor's or either Wilson Moran, grandfather's house.
Yeah, Wilson Moran, grandfather.
And I was asking Dave Kelly about the person who did that, whether they can do one of our homes. But my brother had got all the information, and I was doing an interview with him the other night asking him questions. And I don't remember indeed, but he remembered everything, how to structure the house and all these kind of things. And the more he was telling me about various things, the more I became impressed. Because I know the house was sitting on the water, right by the water. And I know this house was some large, huge trees was by this house. And I remember it had large, long windows. I remember that much. And then I was asking him about the inside of the house and all these other kind of things. And the more he was telling me different things, the more I became impressed. He was telling me about the porch and all the way around the house, even the black porch. Then he was telling me about my father. I didn't realize that he had all of these skills.
Yes.
He possessed all type of skill. I used to hear Wilson sometimes talk about your dad and this and that, but he was a builder. He was a boat builder and all this kind of thing. My brother was telling me that it was a race. Thomas Landon or what have you, one day must have maybe 30, 40 boats in this race, sailboats or what have you. He made sails, the boat, and he made most of those boats that was in that race. But his boat was the one that won.
That won the race.
But he was outstanding in doing some of everything. I remember all of these things. And he was a communicator. I remember when I was a real small fella, I just could remember that, because I used to always hoping that these people would come back, because when they come down to stay with us or stay there, they would always bring something.
Right.
Now these folks were sort of rich people. They came down in their big Cadillacs and this and that.
Oh yeah.
But my father communicated with them. They used to come and spend weeks in at our house.
At the house. Yeah.
But he was an awesome type of individual.
Yeah.
And I remembered when this property that we had moved not too far from outside of the land there. And I was real small, but I was so impressed because the guard gate. And I remember the soldiers there, I would always go up there and they'd have candies and various things for me.
Okay.
But then reading the history of this thing, that when you look at the situation, because I look at we've got the records of land. Our father owned something like maybe over 200 acres of land, and there was waterfront property, all this sort of thing. But the key thing is that the more we check the history of this movement, it was the county commissioners people at that time who stared the government in this area, to take the land. Then after that, when this land was given back, I guarantee you, we check and find out closer, the government give it back to the county to give to the residents.
Back to the residents, right.
And they didn't do it.
Right.
They used it for everything they wanted to use it for. And then I heard that then later, that's when the government took it back and the wildlife refuge people took it over.
That's what I was going to ask.
So the only thing that we are saying now, that we reach out our hand to the fishing game.
Right.
Now we told them that we want the wildlife to stay there.
Right.
We want the pond, we want this, we want that. We
want to
live
in balance with
it.
it.
We want to put bumpers around all of those things. But we want this land.
Right.
All of this land that's not being used, which is our land, that's what we want.
Right.
And we're not going to stop until we get it. But that's what we want. So that's why I want to tell you that much about the movement that I know.
Exactly. Outstanding. Co-chair.
My name is Winston Rutherford, and I am the co-chair. I'm a descendant of Anna Shaw Rutherford Overstreet. So we came from the Shaw and Low connection on Harris Neck. Now my great-great-grandfather was the first black postmaster after Reconstruction.
Is that right?
Here. And he also had a store on Harris Neck as well. And so he had his roots here in that, providing services for people, and that's what we did. And that was a part of the self-sufficiency of Harris Neck. So we did everything here, and everything was through the community. So we were self-sustaining.
Right.
So we were green before green was popular.
Was popular, exactly, exactly.
And so the Harris Neck itself and the movement, I'm in the movement because my sole desire is to see this land return to my mother and my cousins before they pass on. You know, they're getting up in age now, and the thing that drives me every day is the fact that I can get up and do something that's going to make sure that they get the land back and do what was rightfully theirs, so get it back to the rightful owners. Now, my other point I want to make is that with this movement, their justice has to be served.
Absolutely right.
And when you right a wrong, then it starts with us.
Yes.
And so we're doing it not only for our ancestors, but we're doing it for our future generations. And that's what our goal is. We're also very happy to be partnered with the Gullah Geechee Quarter Commission, and that's going to give us prominence in the movement, and we just so appreciate what you do for us. Thank you so much.
No problem at all. I thank y'all. I thank y'all because sometimes folks figure you need 1 million people to do anything. And everything starts with one person. And like you said, if you want something done, it starts right here with you. We was all raised to know that charity begin at home and then going abroad, right? So you home. So this is where it's supposed to start. And so a lot of folks think charity means giving out stuff randomly. That's not what charity is. It's truly, right, putting in work, in love, putting in this work. And so the fact that you all love your ancestors, your family, the land here this much, that you would stick it out makes a big difference. Because I know all of you have gone away, you've moved away, you've traveled, you come back. You could have stayed gone. You could have said nothing to go back for. Why going back for? You're a pharmacist. You could be off making millions, creating some new pill. Every day they want a new pill, right? But instead, the real healing is in the land and is in the people. And so we are so thankful for the blessing we have in you all standing here. And as brothers, as Gullah Geechee men, to stand up and speak up and say this is an injustice from 1942. But we ain't going to stop until we get justice served. And so this is a blessing, and I stand with you. I appreciate you. Let me know whenever you need me. If I need to write letters or you want to send letters and paperwork with me back to the hill, just give them to me and I'll carry them and I'll let you know what's going on. If I have to break them down like this year, I break them down like this year. If I need to speak to you like this so you understand, I'll do that too. All right? And so that this way we definitely want more folks. And Hunter children who to watch we, Hunter know you can always reach we at the Gullah Geechee Nation headquarters. You can email me everything on the bottom, and you can reach all of these your brothers at the harrisnecklandtrust.org. And if you go to that website, a powerful documentary clip did it. And when that film come out, we gonna make sure that film gets shown everywhere we go. But we want the end of that film to be when that Geechee come down, and all of we shouting we way back in there. And that y'all can see the land that we the crack we teeth about. And that the house ain't gonna just be drawings no more. But we gonna broke ground together for rebuild that whole bunch of buildings. Because the community ain't never been broke down. It's still standing. And we're so glad for there with all 100 children here in Harris Neck. So glad that it's been a success. God has sent the libation for cleanse the earth. But that means it clearing the way for we go forward together. So 100 children, this year the Queen Quet head from the body of this year Gullah Geechee Nation. So glad that 100 tune in to Gullah Geechee TV station. And 100 children know this year the what going on. Peace and blessings.